Hey everyone, GameHounds podcast. How are you? Yes, we're late.
We're
It's been
not
a week.
late.
Well, I mean, I was late getting preparations done. This is going to be a very light show. Nick is
No,
going to be carrying the show
no,
today.
we're not late. We always arrive precisely when we mean to. We are like Gandalf.
Um. Okay.
Yes. I meant to arrive exactly at 2:18.
Um. Yeah, but I didn't.
Then you're late.
True,
I'm not.
but we came arrived together. So anyway, how are you? How was your week? How's things? If you're just joining us for the first time, GameHounds podcast. This is the pre-show stuff. Um, getting ready to actually record the podcast, and yes, I'm going to put the podcast up this week if I can. Had my first week of the new job. Actually, I had the last week of the old job plus the first week of the new job in 1 week. It
How was
was
that?
a really long week, really fucking long week. Like I got to Friday and I got to Wednesday and it felt like I had already gone through a whole week.
Mm,
But uh it was very interesting because if you were not aware, I was coerced back to a job that I held 3 years ago,
coerced?
with
I
money.
thought, okay, I thought it was like offered a lot of money and you took it, which is,
Yes,
I would
yes, that's
love to be,
coercion.
I would love to be coerced like that.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
nice.
Someone,
Um,
hey, someone out there, any listeners, you want to coerce me? DM me.
a coercion takes a lot of forms. In this case, it took
Mm.
a large amount of little forms, to get me to go back, and they were in kind of bad shape. That they didn't have an operations manager, and it had been kind of a long, sordid story of why they didn't. Essentially, somebody split the company and took people with them. So they were left kind of holding the bag, not really knowing what to do. And I know all the systems. It's I don't have to go in and forensically figure out how stuff is done. I know how stuff is done. Granted, there had been some changes in the last see, I left in 2019, right before the pandemic. So that would be
Mm.
2.5 years ish. Um, almost 3 years. Actually, no, I left in September, end of
Like
September.
2.5.
So 2.5 years. So there had been some changes, but not anything, really consequential that I couldn't figure out what they did differently.
Mhm.
So, so yeah, they were paying for my expertise. I probably, in retrospect now, I probably should have asked for about like 25% more, but I like these guys. It's a really good company to work for, minus the reason why I left, which is no longer there. So, I walked in and it was like, have you ever had a dream where, like, especially if you've been fired for a job or you left a job and it was because something had gone horribly wrong and it bothers you that you didn't, like, it just sticks in your craw, like, why didn't that work? And you have like these nightmares, like these dreams, like you're back there trying to fix things. And, like it's sort of a night. It is a sort of a nightmare where, you're back at your old job and you're like, what the fuck am I doing here? How am I here? This is not right. It's got to be a nightmare or a dream. That's what like the whole week was for me coming. But because I'd only left, when I left, they didn't get rid of any of my accounts, like my email account, my Ring Central account. I didn't get it. They just deactivated them. So when I came back, they just reactivated everything. So the first thing that happened as soon as I went into my Outlook, my email, is I was greeted with a notification that I had hundreds of overdue things on my calendar by like 153 weeks overdue. And I'm still trying to like, I also got all my old emails, which is very interesting because if you want to excavate what the fuck happened last time, yeah, all you have to do is go back to those emails and you can see it. Um, so yeah, it's been it's kind of interesting going back, and it has been nothing but people like running up and hugging me and going, "I'm so glad you're back," which is always good for the ego. Um, yeah, so that's I'm still getting the downside. If you ever return to a job, can I recommend that you do not let somebody just reactivate all your old stuff? It is really nice to be able to go back and look at all your old stuff and be able to like figure out who were your contacts, how you did things, go backwards in time to see what was happening and how it was done if you've forgotten. The downside is that all of the systems don't work. Like you've got to find your old password to get into accounts. You've got to, excavate your current life from your former life.
Hmm.
It's been nothing but like I can't even connect to Microsoft Exchange from my home computer because it keeps on thinking it's the old password and it's not. I have to go back and I have to excavate because they just renewed my W-2. I didn't have to fill
Well,
out a W-2, which normally wouldn't be a problem, except when I filled out my W-2 last time, I was married and filing jointly.
mm,
Now I'm widowed and filing single, which means I have to have a lot more money taken out of my paycheck for withholding.
hmm.
So it's like you've got to be on top of everything because if you fuck up, like things could happen. Like my 401k. I didn't have to refill out my 401k stuff, but now Kevin is my beneficiary. So it's like that's got to be redone. And there's nothing else in there that's alerting you like, "Hey, you might want to change this." So you have to kind of keep it in your own head. So I've been just
Yeah. Like if
hunting down like information, like falling asleep going, "Oh crap.
which wouldn't be an issue
Did I
if they
change my
didn't
my emergency contact number?"
which, like, wouldn't have been an issue if you had to do all that over again.
Right. If Kevin hadn't died, I wouldn't have to do this all over again
Well, even,
because
like
everything would be the same.
no, like, even if you were at a new employment, like, you would have to fill out all that stuff for the first time.
Right.
It's the fact that you're going back and all that stuff is already there.
Exactly. And that, the bosses, they're not the operations person. That's why they've hired me.
Hmm.
So, they just went the easy route and just like, hey, turn everything on. But that means that I've got to figure out on my own how to change the things that have been turned on so that they're like my Ring Central account has, or no, my Microsoft account, for example, I can't verify my identity because the phone number that's attached to the account is the old phone number that I had that has since been given to somebody else. So
Hmm.
whenever it's like two-factor authentication, it's sending messages to their phone number, not mine. I think that's the case. I have no idea where that number. So it's a pain. But otherwise, it's really fun. It's really nice. So I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be making making money.
That's good.
I'm glad
As long as it's worth it.
it is. It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be very worth it in a very short period of time. We got in the chat room. We got AC Wraith. Hey, of course. Hey, I see you too, bloody. And actually, it's blood, aren't you? You're blood, not bloody. We got AC Wraith. Hey, too busy to Libsyn. Too busy to love Libsyn. Yeah, sorry, I am. I'm a little bit busy to love Libsyn. I did not plan this. My nightmare is starting over at my job and not having 2 vacations.
Hmm.
And AC Ray says, I had nightmares about still being in college, but it's been a while. Yeah, it's a lot like the nightmare of going back to college and not knowing where everything is. And you have classes, but you don't know what the classes are. And you don't know where you are. And you like, how did I get here? Wait a minute. What did I do? How did I forget to do this? That's what it feels like going back to that place every day. I have to think, I have to be like, I'm not in a dream. This is really happening. I am back exactly at the same desk I was. It's all the same. Hey, Bitters, how are you? Good to see you. What do we got? We don't have much of a show. Nick is carrying the show today.
That's fine. I have a lot of news, but not a lot of games to play.
That's fine. I have 0 games to play other than trying to get Microsoft Exchange on my Cell phone. I can do it with my computer. Cell phone, no.
Okay.
Not loving it. So, I can't think of anything
Get to
else.
it. Get to it.
All right. I'm going to start the show then.
Yeah.
Give me a second. What do I need to do? I'm trying to remind myself how to actually do my own damn show. All right. Starting the show now.
This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds, episode 668, I think it is. I didn't look. I think it's pretty sure. But I do know it is Sunday, February 5th, 2023. I'm Edie Sellers. We got Nick in the house. Hi, Nick.
Hey.
We are coming down, or I am coming down off of a week where I started. I ended the week with my old job and started the week with my new job all within the same week. I left my old job on Tuesday, started my new job on Wednesday. And if you work for a corporation, I mean, I've worked for corporations before, but I told them that, this was going to be my last day. And I was warned, I was said, at 5 o'clock, you're probably going to lose access to your systems. And I'm like, okay, all right. I was 2 minutes away. Literally 2 minutes away from finishing absolutely everything I needed to do. And I got signed out at 5:02 p.m. I'm like, it was a mad dash to get things done in the last 45 seconds. And yeah. So, I left there, came home, went to bed early, woke up at the crack of dawn and went to San Francisco and started a whole new job. So I haven't been sleeping well. Let's just say that. I'm waking up.
You have a commute now.
Yeah, I do. I sort of do. I mean, I've been taking our public transportation, which is BART. I have not taken the ferry yet. I'm thinking of going back to it. I still have to fix the aluminum Falcon because she's not working right. I need to fix her handles. The aluminum Falcon is my scooter, my electric scooter that I would take from the ferry to the office building. So I've been actually walking.
If you start taking the ferry, you will have a reason to break out the Steam Deck.
Yes, absolutely. The ferry is so wonderful, Nick. Seriously, if you ever get a job in the city, I highly recommend that you move to Marina Bay, which is just down from me because it's where all the new houses are. Gated community, the whole 9 yards. The Marina Bay in Richmond. Because that ferry, I get there, I leave my house. The ferry leaves at 8. If I leave at 7:50 out my door, I'm there parked and on the ferry at 8. I'm having coffee and pastries on the way over for half or 20 minutes, and I am at the door at 9, before 9 p.m. easily. And that's taking actually probably 8:45. And then on the way home, I have a cocktail because they serve beer and alcohol on the way home, and it's fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah. So, how was your week? Anything interesting happening?
Not a whole lot. It's been a week.
Are you playing anything?
Yes. I've continued to play A Plague Tale Requiem.
Really? You're still playing that?
Yes.
How many hours are you into it now?
I don't know. I have not been keeping track. I'm sure if I looked at the place. Oh, that's right. I don't know if Xbox keeps track of your time. I have no idea. I mean, it's a medium-sized game. I have not played a lot this week. I've been doing other stuff, but I'm near the end. I'm very close to the end. I will probably finish it tonight.
Has your opinion changed of it? Because you loved it before.
I really loved it. All the criticisms that people have of it are valid in that it goes on for way too long. Right now, I'm at the point where the story just kind of feels like it's going in circles. There's a lot of, oh, the story has fallen into the your princess is in another castle.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we need to go over here. Our answers are in the fort. You go to the fort, nothing. Oh, we need to go to the church. Our answers are in the church, nothing. Oh, we need to go to this cave that's in the cave, nothing. It's like, okay, come on, just like you could have cut this. Like it feels extraneous. Like, okay, you really could have cut this down by 5 hours and not lost anything. What makes it particularly frustrating is that I think the stealth combat scenarios they've reached a level of complexity that the game itself can't handle, that the mechanics of the game can't handle. This is not an action game. Like this is a stealth game. But the problem with a lot of these later stealth scenarios is that you're in a very small space, or the spaces that you have to maneuver in are very small. Like you'll have some high grass that you can crawl around in to avoid guards, but it's like the 6x6 square. And then you'll look and think, okay, well, where do I go now? I can't go to the left because there's a guard there. I can't go to the right because there's a guard there. I can't go straight because there's a guard there. Where do I go? And you get into a situation where, okay, I've got to try to distract these guards or kill these guards. But you can't really kill the guards because you don't have a lot of offensive capabilities. You can kill a guard if they don't have a helmet, but if they do have a helmet, then you have to use something in the environment. You have to find some way to set them on fire, find some way to put out the torch so that the rats eat them. But this all takes place in the beginning. A lot of these encounters take place in open fields. Later on, they start taking place in confined castle areas. And the controls are kind of clunky. And for the most part, that's fine because you're not trying to do any, minor, any precision maneuverability until you get to these scenarios. And, oh, I got spotted. I'm going to try to run from these guards. I'm unable to like zigzag my way around them. And there's like 4 of them blocking a path. If there's a guard in a path on a walkway, you can't run past him. Like the game is just not designed to allow you to do that. And so it gets into these situations where the controls aren't precise enough to get you around the guards. Your combat capabilities aren't there enough to actually fight back against the guards. But at the same time, there's too many guards to make the stealth feel satisfying. It often feels like, oh, I hit this dead end in stealth. What do I do now? So what I ended up doing is each of these scenarios, these stealth combat scenarios, usually have several checkpoints throughout them. So what I do is at the beginning, I'll stealth until I hit what feels like a roadblock, and then I just take off running. Just take off running to the end. If I can get to the end and through the door, hey, that's good. If I don't and I die, I get respawned closer to the end. And it's a shorter dash, or it's just a shorter dash, or less people to sneak past. And so I've taken to trying to game the game to not play the game, because I find a couple of the stealth things in the end are more frustrating than they are entertaining.
Right.
But
that makes sense.
The story is intriguing. I want to see how it ends. The characters are compelling. The world is compelling. And I have heard that it ends. Patrick Klepek on Waypoint was talking about this game, and I feel like I think my experience will mirror his in that he said by the end he was done with it. It's like, okay, I've played enough of this. It goes on for too long. By the end of the game, I didn't want to play anymore. And then he saw the teaser for what is most likely a third game. And he was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm on board again. Give me 20 to 30 hours. I want to see where they go. So I'm really excited to see how it ends, because I've heard that for as much as it drags in the last quarter, I think it ends strong and ends with a good tease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm even if it drags on a little bit, I'm okay, just simply because it seems like it's a really interesting story.
Mhm.
And I'm all about the stories, in fact. Um Speaking of stories, totally unrelated. Oh my god, The Last of Us TV show, the HBO
Oh,
show.
I haven't seen
Oh
it
my
yet.
god, I haven't seen it, but it is all over the fucking news. Like
No, yeah.
everybody's just piddling themselves about how good it is. And it's like, "Oh, wow, video games do make good movies." Yes, yes they can if they're done well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm glad because I'm missing a game with a really good story. And I didn't appreciate how much I missed it until I played Pentiment, which is a fantastic story.
Yes.
And it's like it really drives you forward. So from what it sounds is that the game itself sort of drags on and it seems like there's padding to it, but
Yeah.
hopefully it ends in a very satisfying way.
Yes. I'm hoping it will.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, how long do you think you have before you're done with it?
Just a few hours. Like, I was playing some earlier today, and I know I'm really close.
Yeah. Yeah. And anything else that you've been playing?
That's it. I mean,
Right.
other than Marvel Snap, which I'm always playing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing. In fact, can you pick your friends to play like Marvel Snap, or does it have to be a randomly generated adversary?
Well, we can start the news. Get into the news now.
There's no other games?
No.
Yeah, I got no games. I'm sorry. I've been meaning to, but it seems like I come home and I just collapse because it was a rough
It was a
week.
hard week.
It was a really hard week. And on top of that, you're excited and you're not sleeping, and then you still have to wake up. I have to wake up at 6:30 now because I got to walk the dogs and be on the train at 8:30. So I have to be up at 6:30, walk the dogs, get myself ready, have some coffee, not be stressed out. And then it takes me until 6 o'clock to get home. And then all I want to do is eat and pass out because I'm exhausted. But I eat, I fall asleep for like a little while in front of the television watching like TV. And I'm like, okay, I'm sufficiently tired. I go to bed. And I can't fall asleep because I'm thinking about all the things I have to do tomorrow. So, fun fact with my new job, my start date was Thursday. I got to be the newest member of the team for all of 3 days because we have 2 more people being onboarded next week.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how it's going nuts.
They're ramping up.
They are absolutely ramping up. And I think that they were kind of in mourning because they were kind of broadsided. And the mourning clothes have come off and now they are ready to go. And they're like, we have the band back together. It's great. So they're like, we're doing this. We got this. We have the dream team.
Good.
So it's nice to be part of somebody's dream team.
Yeah.
All right. So, pardon me. And yes, I still have the schmutz from my cold. But shall we hit the news, sir?
Yeah.
All right. Then let's hit the news. Brady and Nikki Nicola. And the first item is...
You can battle your friends in Marvel Snap.
Really?
Yes.
That's a thing, huh?
Before, it did have to be random. Like, you could only fight random people. Now, you can actually you can generate a room. And so you just create a room, you get a code. I send that code to you. You input that code. Boom, we're fighting each other.
Right. It's
And
a bit like a lot of games will do that. I mean,
Yeah,
Crusader
yeah.
Kings is one of them that I'm thinking off the top of my head.
And the way it works is really interesting because normally when you fight a random person, it's one game. And you have the ability to snap, which is like you're gambling cubes, kind of this currency on it. It starts with 1. If you hit snap, it goes up to 2, then it goes up to 4, and then it can go up to 8. And so throughout the game, like if you feel confident, you can hit that snap. The way it works in Friends, they don't want you to be able to grind out those cubes playing your friends because that's kind of how you increase the skill rank, and they don't want people to abuse that.
Right.
So instead, you get health, and you get 10 health points. And those health points are what you're wagering instead. So if you feel really confident, you can snap and wager more health points. And if you win, that's how much gets taken off your opponent.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept.
And it works really well. And thankfully, they implemented a system where you can't wager more health than you have. So if you have 8 and I have 2, I can't just up the stakes and win one game and then
You can't force somebody to go all in.
Yeah. And so I can wager my 2, but then I can only wager those 2. So
Right.
Yeah. It's a smart system.
Yeah. Okay. I might have to play some Snap before I get a good enough card deck to be able to play you, because you've been playing what for like 3 or 4 months now.
Yeah, about.
Yeah. So I'm gonna need some time to catch up to you.
Sure. It's a fun game. I'm still genuinely enjoying the process of making decks and playing people, and yeah.
Right.
It's cool.
Let's see. I might as well hit my first item. In fact, I'm gonna hit an item that who was it? Was Bitters that asked about what did Eve Gimo did do this week?
I love that spelling because it looks like a Star Wars character.
It does. It seems like it's Greedo's uncle or Greedo's aunt, Eve Gimo.
Eve Gimo's looking for revenge on Han Solo.
Wata uta nocto, Eve Gimo. That's my one like Star Wars impersonation is
Salacious
Crumb.
The fact that I know that is, I feel like it says too much about me. And the thing is, I only know that because I listen to podcasts with other people who know more about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have no idea.
So anyway, I'm glad. Bitters. Sorry. Actually, the two impersonations that I do is not Darn Ragnar. It is
Oh yes. Matrick.
Don Matrick. Is Don Matrick. Or at least what I think he sounds like in my head. And Salacious Crumb.
AC Wraith has a link. Is it Salacious B Crumb?
Is Salacious B Crumb.
I feel like he needs a cane and a top hat.
I've always wanted to know what the B stands for.
You know what? It probably stands for B. BEE.
Probably. So, anyway, let's see. Nothing about Eve Gimo, but I do have things about the Activision Blizzard shit show, because it ain't over. It's still going on and will for a while. All right, so, and I have to pull things up slowly because I did not prepare like I wanted to today.
Okay. I feel like we'll have this banner for years to come. If anything, we'll just add Microsoft onto it, but it will keep coming back.
All right, so the first thing that happened, big news, was that Activision Blizzard, SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, has settled its complaint against Activision for, if you recall, that was um, the charge that the company did not properly disclose to investors that they had exposure to lawsuits from harassment or
Hmm.
by the EEOC or anybody else, because that's supposed to be disclosed. And in fact, there's a form that is signed in their annual statements, and every corporation's shareholder, publicly owned corporation, there's an actual form that they have to fill out that says we are not aware of anything that we are exposed to for potential losses from lawsuits or illegal acts or whatever. We don't see anything. We don't know about anything. And of course, Bobby Kotick was signing it all the time, um, knowing that they had a horrific problem with harassment. And yeah, anyway, so SEC filed the suit, and I thought, oh, SEC is really going to come down hard on them. No, they did not. They settled for $35 million, which sounds like a lot, but it is nothing, absolutely nothing to this company. That is a matter of like 40 minutes of work from them, from what they make. So yeah, they also settled the charges without admitting wrongdoing, which is also wrong. So the settlement is, of course, not an admission or denial of wrongdoing, but it does conclude the probe that is being done by the SEC. Now, there are still lawsuits out that are class action lawsuits by investors who said that they were misled. However, this kind of does cut them out at the knees, because if the SEC doesn't say that they did something wrong, you can't exactly say that they did something wrong, that they closed their investigation. It would have been
It would have been nice to not see a terrible company continue to be terrible with no repercussions.
Right. Now, especially considering that this is the second time that they have gotten out of it without repercussions from the federal government. The first one being the EEOC. EEOC?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the EEOC, who settled for $18 million for the actual ways that they treated their employees, not the disclosure part to investors, but the actual mistreatment of employees. They got away with that with $18 million. So we're not even cracking $50 million at this point. Let's see, 25, 40. Yeah, we are barely cracking $50 million or $500 million. $50 million, $50 million. Not even close. Not even close. So for what they did to people. So this is, does Bobby Kotick, like, is he is he a member of the Illuminati or something? Is he like a secret Mason, like lizard person who's got dirt on everyone? Because I don't know how that company is avoiding repercussions. The repercussions that would happen to any other company that was caught this dead.
Vice is right. System working as intended.
System working as intended. No, not system working as intended. I've seen the SEC go after companies way harder, bigger companies way harder. I don't know what kind of like dirty secrets file somebody has on the federal government, but they clearly do, because this is not okay. Like one, I would say, okay, there's little shenanigans going on here. Two of them, especially one, clearly dead to rights. In fact, speaking of having it dead to rights, not everyone at the SEC thinks this settlement is okay. Now, this is something that literally is put in my feed to my phone. All right. So I don't even have the link for it. This is a statement by, I don't know if you can see that, Commissioner Hester M. Pierce. She is one of the commission who actually approved the settlement. And this is her statement bashing the settlement, absolutely bashing the settlement, saying that this is not right. Sorry, this is not right. This is not okay. That there's something horribly, horribly wrong with this, to the point of the way that she kind of explains that the way that the SEC commission, actually the commissioners actually characterized this settlement in their own heads and in their settlement announcement, was that it wasn't that Bobby and his friends illegally misrepresented the situation about being exposed to possible lawsuits. It was that the company didn't really have the reporting process in place for them to know that. So it's not that they did something wrong, it's just that they were so incompetent.
Isn't that always how the white collar bosses get out of things? Is I didn't know.
Right. Well, that's the thing,
It
is
was
that
it was
I
the
didn't
people under
know.
me.
Right. It was the people under me. I didn't. The thing is that we know he knows because we have like emails that show that they knew. And if it's like, if they didn't know, they should have known. That's kind of being part of the CEO. And essentially he is they're admitting incompetence is what they're admitting in order to get themselves. And this particular SEC chairperson, commissioner, not chairperson, but the commissioner, is absolutely, she says, I dissent because the order does not articulate any securities law violations. She said that this should absolutely articulate that there were violations of the law, because it was clearly violations of the law. The form that they forgot that they didn't fill out was they violated. The commission finds that Activision Blizzard violated, specifically the commission finds that the Activision Blizzard violated the Exchange Act Rule 13A through 15A, which requires Activision Blizzard to have, quote, disclosure controls and procedures. Well, they're saying, oh, well, you didn't have the controls and procedures, so you couldn't have had the disclosure. And she's like, yeah. You shouldn't be going this granular into that. This does a disservice. This essentially weakens the whole idea of you've got to disclose this crap, because then all you have to do is say, well, we didn't have the right procedures, so how can we disclose?
Yeah. In the future, it encourages other people to not even have any system in place.
Right. It is also difficult to see where the logic of this order stops. When the SEC gets this granular, the limits are not clear. If workplace misconduct must be reported to the disclosure committee, so too must changes in any number of workplace amenities and workplace requirements. And so too must any multitude of factors relevant to other risk factors. The requirement cannot be that a company's disclosure controls and procedures must capture potentially relevant, but ultimately, for the purposes of disclosure, unimportant information. The SEC once again has sat down at a gaming console to play its new favorite game, Corporate Manager. So I've never seen a commissioner actually come out and say, this is fucked up, guys. This is not okay. And this is wrong. I dissent. In such loud terms. So yeah, not everybody thinks that the settlement is okay, including people at the SEC on the commission of the SEC, which makes me wonder, what the fuck does Bobby have on these people? Like, what secret file of PRN does it have on these people?
I mean, it's probably not dirt. It's just money.
Activision is not the biggest. Not only not the biggest company, not even close to the richest company that has come in front of the SEC and gotten off lighter than any other company I have ever seen.
Then it's the right amount of money to the right person. It doesn't matter how big the company is.
No,
People,
it's not money. It's not money. It's got to be something else. There's something else going on.
well,
This
it's
does
this.
not make sense.
It's one more reason to oppose the Microsoft Activision merger.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't reward a shitty company.
Speaking of which, the EU has put out a little warning that says, guys, you're going to have just so you know, this is not going to go well for you with us. Let me pull up this story because, of course, I don't have all of this stuff together. Um, the EU, European Union, which we all know what that is. It's more than just a place. It's an
Mhm.
actual body. It's like the SEC. It is a commission. Come on, stupid computer. Just give me what I want. Okay, there we go. European Union has issued a formal antitrust warning to Microsoft with regard to its acquisition, the $69 billion deal to acquire Activision Blizzard. Did I say Activision? Microsoft. So Politico has reported this. They said that the EU representatives sent Microsoft a statement of objections, which lays out why the body feels that this deal probably not okay. It's got problems for them, and that it has to do with not enough diversity of businesses within the game industry. The EU has previously contended that Microsoft might be incentivized to block access to Call of Duty in the future. And of course, it's still coming down to Call of Duty, which is, I think, a terrible, terrible thing to hang this on, because all Microsoft has to do is get rid of Call of Duty.
Hmm.
I mean, Call of Duty's big, but it ain't as big as everything else combined. So it's a terrible, well, that's what's probably going to end up happening. So anyway, Microsoft spokesperson said that they're still committed to, quote unquote, finding a path forward in this deal. But it's obviously coming up to a bigger fight with the EU. One, that Microsoft is playing this very close to the vest. They haven't said that they will give up Call of Duty, but you and I both know they're prepared to do that. They will absolutely do that if necessary. So they're waiting for the EU to lay out its list of demands and commit to a list of demands and get that on paper, and then they will give it up and then move forward, because they don't want to give anybody an opportunity to come up with even more concerns. So they got to put it on paper, they got to put their demands on paper, and then you come with a counteroffer. They're waiting for the initial. So yeah, that's the thing that's happening. It's going to happen. And honestly, you were the one, Nick, that convinced me that this was as bad an idea as it has turned out to be.
And
The more I look at it, the more worse it seems.
I kind of have more not about that, but this is slightly related.
Mhm.
The Jeff Grubb at Giant Bomb has reported that after the layoffs have hit Microsoft, one of the consequences of that was a couple of unannounced games at the Coalition, who's the new developer of Gears, were canceled.
Right.
And that now the Coalition is full steam ahead on Gears 6, which normally that's like typical gaming news.
Right.
But I feel like it comes on the heels of Microsoft just, continuing to not have a whole lot of games to ship, and seeing them unable to cancel this like new game. It's like it makes me question what their management is like. And from everything I've heard, when they get involved, it doesn't work out well. When they're hands off with the developer, it doesn't work out well. They bought State of Decay developer years ago and were pretty hands off with that. Like there was no upper management meddling. But that developer has just been unable to ship State of Decay 3 through their
Right.
own
Right.
mismanagement. When they get involved with Halo, they mismanage that. And that's another news story I have, is that Halo is switching to the Unreal Engine 5. And that's kind of a big deal because they had
May
previously...
as well talk about that.
Oh, yeah, I am. 343 Studios, previously, before Halo Infinite launched, made a big deal about how they're developing their own engine for Halo Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
And now that Infinite came out and has spent the last 2 years kind of floundering, they're just ditching that engine that they made right away.
Yeah.
And it just speaks to a studio that does not have a direction. And I feel like that's
Yep.
a lot of stuff under Microsoft, and I don't know if that's their fault.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at least glad that Obsidian, who's a developer owned by Microsoft, I actually really, really like.
Mm-hmm.
They at least seem to be doing things okay, but like they announced their version of Skyrim, Avowed, like
Mm-hmm.
4 years ago, and we haven't heard anything out of that
Right.
since. So it begs the question, like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And this is all to say, I continue to feel like Microsoft is trying to buy their way out of not being able to ship games, because throughout all of the Xbox One generation, they didn't ship any. They shipped some games, but they canceled a lot more. During that whole generation, their internal studios basically tanked.
Right.
And this is them trying to buy their way out of it. But even after the multiple acquisitions they've had, I don't see them successfully buying their way out of it, which to me says that whatever issues they had during that generation, they still have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chenderbuck says, I would hope that if the deal did go through, that Microsoft would clean out the trash and Activision would be a better company for it. And the rest of the 9,000 employees haven't done anything wrong. Yeah. I think exactly that's going to be the case. You would hope.
No, it won't. It
I
won't be
think
the
they will.
case, you would hope, but it's not.
Microsoft is not known for abusing its employees, put it that way.
But
they'll get rid of a lot of the dead weight, but the problem is that, you know, like you said, the clean out the trash. The problem is the trash will never feel any justice, any repercussions for their bad actions. In fact, they will get rewarded with very large parachutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem I have with this settlement, with this sale. I think that Bobby and all of his buddies all crap to the bed, and now they are essentially getting they're not paying anybody. They're getting paid, and they're walking away for somebody else to clean it up for them. So, yeah, I mean, how to get away with murder? That's how you do it right there. I guess, I mean, that was kind of my story. So you might as well go on with your next story that's not Microsoft, crap show related.
Okay. Well, in more publisher crap show related.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, did I not have this?
And make different games. Agreed. I would very much love to have them make different games. In fact, I hate to keep on bringing back Pentiment, but it's such a good game. If you have not picked up Pentiment, you should, to see what good small games can be.
Okay.
But it was because of the Microsoft Studios connection that Pentiment could get made. They had the freedom to do it.
And I heard that same sentiment about Hi-Fi Rush, the game from Tango Gameworks that came out recently, which is
right. Everybody's just pissing themselves about
a rhythm action game from a studio that's known for making horror games.
Mm-hmm.
They've all said that, like, we're able to do this because of the freedom that Game Pass offers us.
Right.
And I still maintain my worry is that if you put a bunch of big budget Activision games, Call of Duty and Overwatch and Diablo on Game Pass, I feel like that incentivizes bigger games being on there because the user base will flock to those bigger games,
Right.
won't give the smaller games a chance to be made. And I feel like the Call of Duty size games will suck the air out of everything else on Game Pass.
Yeah.
That is my fear.
I don't know that's the case because there's already a lot of really big games on there and they haven't sucked the life out of it because it gives not Game Pass is a good deal when it comes to the big budget games that are coming out, but it allows not only the freedom for these small studios to make small, interesting games like Pentiment and like what was that? What's the name of it again?
Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush. It also gives us as players the luxury of being able to feel the freedom to investigate these smaller games. I would have never picked up Pentiment for money. Not in a million years. I would not have paid. I probably would have paid $5.99 for it, but I would not have spent 15, actually I bought it for, I think it was $11.99. I would not have bought it for money before trying it. It seems interesting, but it's not something that would make me do it. And that's why I see that there is inherent value. And I don't worry about the big budget games being on Game Pass and drowning out. So I seem to think that you're suggesting is that they would choke the life, just suck up all the air from the market. So it wouldn't leave space. I think it's exactly the opposite. It creates space for me, because I'm not going to play Call of Duty. And the Call of Duty players are probably not going to pick up Pentiment or other games, but they might pick up, the ones that like getting all the action, like Hi-Fi Rush right now. Everybody's talking about what a great game it is and how cool it is. It would probably get some of those Call of Duty players to just give it a try and maybe not be so much in the pocket of Activision. So I see that
maybe
this is a bonus all the way around for everyone.
I worry that the games on Game Pass under different management than Phil Spencer, Spencer, who seems like dedicated to kind of maintaining Game Pass as it is. Under anyone else, the design of first-party Xbox games will go even more hard into the live service than they already are, because they will chase the subscription model like mobile games do.
Possibly. Now, I know that there have been numerous articles that I did not get into about how live service is dying. And I think there's always, all right, will they chase live games more than they do now? And the answer is probably not, because they couldn't chase it more than they already do now. It's
that does not matter. It is still a trend that everyone's trying to jump on.
Right. And they're more than welcome to try the trend. But here's the thing.
Ubisoft is just starting to get in on this trend.
Right. But Ubisoft is not an independent, is not part of like the Game Pass thing. That's why I'm like, we're talking about the acquisition of Activision by Microsoft, giving possibly Activision more freedom to make different games other than Call of Duty year after year after year.
I don't see that.
I see that because we have evidence that that's the case, because there's been a couple of different cases in the just recent memory that you and I could literally point to the games where they have said, yes, this did give us the freedom to do it.
Yeah.
And now you're pointing out other games that are actually making my argument. You're other developers. Ubisoft is chasing the live model. Activision chasing the live model, EA chasing the live model. They're all chasing live models because they don't have that freedom. I think that you're going to have certainly some that are going to be chasing live models that are part of Game Pass or live service models that are part of Game Pass. But you're also going to see a lot more freedom to just do something other than that, maybe in a small team within the company. Talking about talking about Microsoft owned studios.
Yeah, the banner's wrong.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think so, because I think Microsoft needs a publisher like Activision, who, through their mercenary use of everyone, has been able to pump out Call of Duty games on a regular basis. Microsoft could really use that kind of stability for Game Pass, considering their troubled past with publishing games. If they could have a consistent big game released each year, that would be huge for them, because they kind of don't have that now.
Yeah, all right. I could see that. I could see that.
And I also say
But I
that
don't think that they will be happy and, well, I don't know. Well,
I
I think
also
that the
say
Activision that we get from Microsoft, simply because of the existence of Microsoft Studios or Microsoft, sorry, because of Game Pass, is going to be a very different Activision than what we know of the Bobby Kotick years.
I
I think it's
highly,
going to be different.
highly doubt that.
AC Wraith, you taking notes? Are you taking notes? Because if this goes through, we're going to see a big difference.
No.
We're going to see. I'm with, well, the reason why we're talking about this is because it was Blood Reaper that says maybe we could get rid of the trash and make different games. I think we will see more different games from Activision owned by Microsoft than they would do Activision owned by, Bobby Kotick.
And even if we do, I think those games will still be chasing a live service, because that's all anyone can do. Hey, the struggles with Halo Infinite, from everything I know, the backbone of that game is fine. Like, people praised the campaign when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
People enjoyed the multiplayer when it surprise dropped way back when.
Right.
The problem people have with it is the battle pass system sucks. The microtransaction system sucks. Every piece of design that feels like it's meant to make that game into a live service model sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It is very clearly a wrong model forced on top of a good game.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what your game is. You can always have a higher up force a bad live service model on top of it and ruin it. And
True.
they did it with Halo. Microsoft did it with what is arguably their flagship console justifying icon of a franchise, which
Yep.
now means very little. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Halo doesn't mean much anymore.
No.
I think.
Certainly, I think that Halo Infinite definitely affected the reputation that title has, especially when they're trying to make it a live service.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I say that because, and this leads into a story that I don't think I put a banner for. Last week, EA also canceled some of their games in development. One of those things that's announced now is a Titanfall experience. And what they mean by that is
They're canceling the Titanfall experience, or they're working on a Titanfall.
they canceled it. So what happened is, in Apex Legends, there's going to be a team deathmatch mode.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that they're trying to turn Apex Legends into a wider platform. That's not just about Battle Royale, but that's kind of about getting different shooter experiences,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this Titanfall experience was going to be on top of one of those. It wasn't going to be Titanfall 3. It was going to be like a single player mode within the Apex Legends platform that involved Titans, and you would meet up with Apex Legends characters.
Mm-hmm.
That got canceled because it was a single player mode as part of this platform.
Hmm.
And that's just a sign that, EA is allergic to anything single player.
Right.
But at the same time, like they've basically ruined every franchise that they had that wasn't this live service, that wasn't Madden or FIFA
FIFA.
or Apex Legends.
Mhm.
Like the microtransactions from those sports games are the only thing justifying that entire company, because Dragon Age completely floundered. BioWare itself completely floundered. What were all the other things that they had? Battlefield completely floundered. What are other big EA franchises? Need for Speed kind of
Any of
means
the Star
nothing.
Wars games that they ended up losing their ability to make
Yeah,
because
they
the
had,
explosivity because they couldn't make a campaign.
like, think about that for a second.
Yeah. How do you
They
fuck
had
up? How do you screw up Star Wars?
You have an exclusive license to Star Wars, and you make such bad games with it that you and LucasArts agree this isn't working out anymore. You fuck it up so bad that both
Yeah.
of you agree to walk away.
Yeah.
Like, that is a company that, without its live service games, it's only supported by its live service games and is
Mhm.
incapable of being held afloat by anything else. Ubisoft is
Yeah.
struggling, and they're trying to get Assassin's Creed into live service because they can't do anything else. And
They've
so
run out of ideas.
I see this is
I
a
take it
model.
back. They've run out of any will to make anything that has new ideas, which is why Game Pass is so awesome if
And
you are
see,
owned by Microsoft because they give you that freedom.
and I don't think that whatever bean counter pusher at Microsoft is looking at their numbers and going, you know what? We make enough money from Game Pass. Let's let the developers have some freedom. It's like, no, we make a lot of money from Game Pass, and if we put out more live service games, we can make more money.
Have we seen a live service game from Bethesda? I can't remember.
No, not really.
Hmm.
I mean, Bethesda,
Just gonna
Bethesda,
let that sit there.
but Bethesda has never made that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, true. True.
Like, Microsoft seems content to kind of
Well,
let
I guess
Microsoft seems content to let developers that they acquire keep doing their thing. That's like their MO. Just keep doing what you're doing. And so I imagine every studio under Activision is just going to keep doing what it's doing.
maybe. Well, I guess we'll have to find out. But did you start off with something else? Oh no, you did. Let's hit Dragon Age.
Oh,
You
yes,
mentioned that there was an announcement. Well, there was the
there was
leak,
a leak. Yeah.
supposed leak of a very short bit of a very not high def
Yeah,
video.
I talk about how EA seems allergic to anything single player, but from everything I've heard, the remake of Dead Space has been so shockingly well received.
Mhm.
Everyone who's like touched it has said, "I hope they do this for the second game."
Yeah.
And it will be interesting to see what EA does, because this the fact that they're remaking an old single player game instead of making a new single player game reeks of IP safety. And so now that they've established that, I'm curious to see if they'll follow it up with anything or if they
Right.
just go, good. But BioWare's still cranking away on Dragon Age, and they've oh no, this isn't useless. This is
No.
the leaked.
Oh, the
There's
link. Did you make a banner for that?
I didn't. I found it after I had made all the banners.
Okay.
But yeah, some gameplay of Dragon Age got leaked, and there's not a whole
Yeah,
lot of it.
it's not. Yeah, you need to put that into full screen, dude.
Oh wait,
You have to do
the
that
full screen is a
before.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me remove that out there. You did. I'll take care of it. Yeah, go ahead and talk about it because it's very, very short. It is barely like 4
So
seconds.
it's very short, but there's a Reddit post that kind of gives more details about it. And I think what's there is worth talking about because what's there is unlike anything that's been in a Dragon Age game. And
Mhm.
it makes me wonder if people like you are excited or disheartened by what they see.
Um,
Because basically, uh, so in short, it's a much more action focused gameplay. The Reddit post says that combat is completely in real time and is a hack and slash game, similar to God of War 2018. That game is kind of being their guiding reference. There won't
mhm.
be any party control. You'll be able to jump and parry. Uh, yeah, you'll have different abilities that you can do, but basically, it's an action game. And I remember when Dragon Age Origins came out. Dragon Age Origins was a hardcore turn like RPG. Dragon Age 2 became a much more action focused, and that was a big controversy at the time. So much so that I think Inquisition stepped back from that and became more RPG-esque. And so to see them going even further into the action route this time makes me wonder if like I said, does that make you as a Dragon Age fan more or less interested in the game?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, stand by. I need to get this. I finally found it. Um, yeah, you can't just stick an article up there. You gotta actually pull up the footage so we look like we know what we're doing. So here is the let's see if I can get it to where I need to go. And all right, so here is the supposed leaked footage. And for me, I love this. I love
Mm,
this. This
really?
the fact that yeah, because I think that this looks to me, if this is the case, and honestly, I don't know that it is the case. It does seem like there might be multiple because I mean it was like a party system, like what's the word I want? Darn it, the Mass Effect. Mass Effect was like a party system where you could direct your people to do certain things, but you could be yourself and then you could switch between characters and employ different things, that
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to play. Um, I'm I'm okay with this. This feels like a next generation evolution of what the game would be.
Hmm.
That when you go back to playing previous games, it does seem like a clunky, slow way of playing. This seems more like involved, more engaged in the actual combat. Now, will it be probably more broad appeal? Absolutely. Will the people who really loved Dragon Age, they liked the gameplay. The gameplay was good. It was fine. What drove them to love the series is the story. It was everything around it. It was like Mass Effect. It was the characters. It was the story. If the combat was a little flawed, the combat was a little flawed, but it was the story that propelled. So if I can have even more dynamic combat like this seems to intimate that it is, I'm absolutely all about that.
Hmm.
That looks like a hell of a lot of fun to play. It would be something to me that would take a good thing and make it better. So
Okay.
no, it does not put me off in the least. Now, purists might take issue.
I mean,
I'm of the opinion that the more people that like this game, the chances are we will get more of this game. So I want it to have more mass appeal, more broad appeal.
okay. I'm not a purist by any stretch, but when I saw that, I just kind of rolled my eyes and was like, yeah, that game's gonna be bad.
You think so?
As someone who got bored of Inquisition, I think that franchise has only gone downhill since the beginning.
Yes. I would 100% agree with you. I would say that Origins was fantastic. that 2 was all right. Inquisition was better than 2, but it was nowhere near as good as Origins. So I think that this is the moment of redemption for them to take Dragon Age into a new console, into a new age, to give it more life and more dynamicism, but at the same
Is
time
that a
keep
word?
is it? Look it up.
Dynamicism?
Dynamicism. As opposed to dynamics.
I think
Some
it's dynamism.
dynamism, is it? I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, whatever. That you know what I mean. I want it to have that more sense of it, especially when it has that kind when you look at it as a game, overall gameplay game, as opposed to just the story. I mean, like the full package. I want it to have all those things. So I think that if they change the combat style while still maintaining the core sensibilities of what made Dragon Age Origins so great, which was the story, which was the companionship, which was the characters and the writing and the locations, that's what made us love that game. I mean, I went back to play Dragon Age Origins. That first section was awful, and I remember playing it and thinking it was awful back then. You had to get past that. And I have since gone past it, and it's like, wow, this is really clunky. This does not age well. And I thought back to it, and you're like, you know what? That absolutely is exactly how it played before. It really didn't play that great. And I think that 2 was so bad because they actually did try to create more of, I don't want to say hack and slash, but more active, like involved and engaged combat. They tried to, quote unquote, improve the combat, but they forgot to leave in the story and the relationships and the characters. They forgot to create a Dragon Age game. They just created a Dragon Age fighting type of game. And that's why it sucked. They recognized their mistake and brought back Inquisition, but still the story was not quite there. The combat was even better, but not quite there with the story. If they can wrap it all together, I am there.
Okay.
I am absolutely there. I will buy it. I will buy, if it's good enough, I will not only buy the game, I will go back and buy the expensive game. Just so they know.
Oh no,
That's how they know that stuff is somebody pays money for it.
You'll pre-order the expensive version. We
I am
know
not.
this.
I am no. I'm not. You know why? Because I
Why?
have pre-ordered expensive versions on 2 games, and both of them ended up sucking. One of them being Destiny. What was the other one? Oh, No Man's Sky. I'm not saying that either one of them are bad games now, but when they released, take it back. And another one I bought, but not the most expensive one. Another one I bought, Evolve. I have very, very, very bad luck with that. I don't want this game to suck so much that I won't buy the expensive one.
Okay.
You're welcome, EA. I am not buying your expensive one, but I will buy your expensive, stupid swag afterwards. God damn, you know I will.
Okay, to be more positive about Dragon Age, there was a Twitter thread where someone's like, "Post your useless Dragon Age facts," and there's a lot of really funny ones. One of them comes from John Epler. I don't know who that is, but he says, when you sprint on a horse in Dragon Age Inquisition, it doesn't really do much because Frostbite couldn't stream in levels fast enough. So we just added speed lines and changed the camera to make it feel faster.
Yes, I noticed that. I noticed that. The camera would zoom in and it would add speed lines, but I noticed you wouldn't go any faster. But it made you feel like you were going faster.
Another one, the Frostbite engine doesn't do slides. Like it can't do a slideshow. So the slideshow endings that you see in Dragon Age Inquisition are actually paintings that spawn in your bedroom. If you unlock the camera, you can pull back and see that they're just paintings in your bedroom.
No, really? Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and see that.
One of the fun ones. So the reason that Iron Ball's romance scene takes place in a separate tower and not your character's bedroom
Say
is
that again. Remember that.
the romance scene for Iron Ball in Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh, Iron Ball, right?
It takes place in a separate tower, not your character's bedroom.
Right.
The reason for that is the mocap for everybody walking in on your player assumed that there was a doorway there. But what ended up happening is the player's bedroom ended up having stairs. And so the mocap that they recorded previously
Oh, that's
didn't work.
funny.
So they
They
basically
had to
moved
move
it to the sex tower, what they call it.
That's awesome.
One that I think is interesting is where is it? The name of the world of Dragon Age is Thetis, right?
Uh-huh. No,
Thedes,
no.
Thedas.
Thetis.
Basically THEDAS.
Thetis, right.
That's how you spell it. That came about because when the first game was in development, people kept writing the DAS for the Dragon Age setting. And eventually they're just like, you know what?
Oh, I love this.
Let's just call it Thetis.
That's funny. Like the Xbox, the reason why the Xbox is called the Xbox.
Yeah. Was it
Because it was just a placeholder name that is like they didn't know what to call it. They called it the Xbox, and they put all these other ideas for names, and it was like nothing as good as Xbox.
Yeah, what was it? It's DirectX. That's what it was. It was the DirectX.
Direct Xbox.
Let's see. What was some of the other interesting ones? I guess there are 2 moons for Thetis, but only one has ever been named. And even then, that name is like that name appears once in all the lore.
Name of Thetis moons. 2 moons. The secondary moon is Satina, from whence the holiday of a Saturnalia gets its name. Yeah.
This is from someone on Twitter that about moons. The Dragon Age planet's moons look similar to the planet Clendagon in Mass Effect, with a massive scar across it, which makes them believe that the planet of Dragon Age is actually Clendagon's moon, which would just be kind of a neat little Easter egg.
So the moon,
the moon of Dragon Age looks like the planet Clendagon in Mass Effect.
Oh, I love that idea. Oh my gosh.
Let's see. What are some other ones?
I'm just going to throw some Dragon Age up here so that you can
remind
yourself of what a fun game it was to play.
I guess I don't know, this is just a glitch. If you kill a dragon with a weapon that causes him to explode, the whole model would just vanish and the skull shows up.
If you kill him with yes. That I remember. So you can compare, what the final, if you going back to what we're talking about with the hack and slash, it's very much that kind of hack and slash where, and you would hold for casting a particular spell or something that was on cooldown. So it's not that it's that much different. It's just a little bit more dynamic because it has so much more dynamism
Mm. That's the correct word.
That's the correct word. It's so much more dynamic, and I think that if that gameplay that was leaked is real, is part of the alpha, I'm good with it. It's in fact, if you look at the way that this fight is going, it looks pretty boring to play, and it's kind of was. Swing, 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 roll, swing, cast, swing, roll, cast, drink a potion, swing. This is
Is this the
way
first
more
game?
fun.
Is this the first game?
No, this is the second. First game was even more rudimentary. Let me pull that up.
Well, yeah. Well, what I liked about the first game is that all the combat was automatic. You would just like queuing up moves, and to me, I thought that made for a more interesting tactical experience. It wasn't an action game. It made me think about high level things like the positioning of my characters. What
Yes.
move are they going to do next, and less about swing, swing, dodge, swing.
Yeah, and I like that about this game. It seemed like I was playing a different game. Not, I should say, not a different series, but certainly a game that was more different, more modern. Like if you'd have created some kind of looking for some combat here. Where's some combat? There we go. Is that combat? Come on, looking for combat here. If you have something that doesn't ever change in the way that it plays, it just seems like it's a continuation of the old, whatever's happening before.
Oh, sure. But like you can change the gameplay without making it into a bad action game.
Right. I think that, oh gosh, come on. Is there where's the, there we go.
So I will say, when we're on the topic of Dragon Age, there's a game coming out this year, Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
Which, from everything I've seen of it, basically looks to be the spiritual successor of Dragon Age. Because it's from a studio that specializes in that type of tactical combat that has previously made a bunch of isometric games. But now with Baldur's Gate 3, they're getting into the, third person view, dynamic cameras during conversations. Basically what Dragon Age is, it's a typical CRPG game with the production values of an action game. And that's what made it really cool. And so that's what it looks like Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be, which is what makes me excited to see it, because when I look at it, I see the path that Dragon Age never took, right? It's the divergent path. It's like this is what you could have been.
Yeah. Pee Wee Herman, the secret word. And Chunderbox, yeah, Morgan, the love of my life. Shh, don't tell the missus. I get it. It. Alistair still.
Anyways, did you see the Dragon Age
right
show on
here?
Netflix?
Because I'm a sucker for him.
Did you see the Dragon Age show on Netflix?
I've
been meaning to watch it, but from everything I heard,
I have a meaning
that
to
it
watch
was entertaining.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch it as well. Why didn't I? Yeah, you can see that this is, not. It's kind of boring. It's kind of boring game combat. And if you look at the progression of what this combat is, then you think about the progression to what it became in Inquisition. You can see that what was played, or what was supposedly this leaked alpha footage, seems to be a natural progression to that. And using the full abilities of the actual of the console, using the console for it's what it was intended to do.
I'd say it does and it doesn't. To me, it looks like this looks like an RPG, and the other looks like an action game. It has less to do with like the console, less to do with dynamism, and more to do with being a different genre. And so what makes me skeptical and worried about what the next Dragon Age would play like is I worry it'll just play like a kind of bad action game. And the thing is, like the Dragon Age games are long, right? They're
Mhm.
long. I played God of War for 50 hours, and by the end of that game, I was fucking sick of that combat. I didn't want to play it anymore. And like I think the more distance combat allows you to spend more time in it. And so I wonder if at a certain point, like, 70 hours of hack and slash combat is just going to get monotonous.
I don't know. I think that there was a lot of monotony in the combat of Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age Inquisition, especially when you got to the end of the game. You just didn't want to fight things anymore. You just want to get to the story. So I think that that's the nature of any kind of game that isn't a hardcore. Like Elden Ring would not have that because every fight was different and it was all about strategy and tactics, and that's what the game was about.
Yeah.
I think that you would have that no matter what if you played 200 hours like I did of Dragon Age multiple times over and over again. So anyway,
Okay. So that's enough about Dragon Age.
enough. What else? What do I? And let me see what else I have. Do I have anything else to add in here? Oh, I got something for you. Kind of interesting. And I wouldn't necessarily put this in the this week in the D&D OGL S show category, but it is a definitely related to it. Why don't I have this up? God dang it. I hate it when I do stuff like this.
Blood Reaper just added 2 things in the Discord. If you're
Here we go.
desperate
Nope,
for
I got it.
news.
Here it is. You remember Paizo?
Let's see. Yes.
Paizo is the company that it has Pathfinder. They're essentially an alternative to D&D and Wizards of the Coast. Same idea, much smaller company than Paizo. Hold on a second. Oh man, I really freaking hate when I have so much stuff on a damn screen that I can't find anything. Come on. I'm sorry. I have lost you underneath a million different documents I have open on my screen. Where are you? Are you there?
Me?
Yeah, you're still there. There we go. StreamYard.
Yes. Yeah, I'm
Just
here.
couldn't find the tab because it was underneath under a bunch of. I hit preview, which is kind of like the PDF viewer, and it brought up a stack of PDFs on my screen. So Paizo, Pathfinder. Paizo has announced, because they're not idiots, they have really announced that they have released a So You Want to Try Out Pathfinder Humble Bundle. So yeah, it's going to be Pathfinder 2E, the second edition, and it can be available to you for as little as $5. So
It's actually called So You Want to Try Out Pathfinder.
it is actually called So You Want to Try Out Pathfinder.
Wow.
So yeah. This is the bundle. It the $5, you get a complete set of the beginner's box, the 5e core rulebook, the bestiary, and the Lost Omens World Guide, as well as a character sheet, pack, printable pawn collection, and a one-shot adventure. There's also other levels to it, higher levels. Every purchase benefits Code for America, which is the organization that helps like governments and local, municipalities and stuff, have programs, implement programs based on open source software solutions. So essentially, getting your local municipality on something Linux, not Microsoft. So yeah, the second tier, the first tier is like as little as $5 for that first one. The second tier is $15. It gets you a total of 18 PDFs, the first 7, and then a number of extra player options, including the Lost Omens character guide and the ancestry guide, both of which feature the new ancestries like lizard folk and androids. Yes, there are really androids in Pathfinder. There's also a number of several new feats in that second tier pack, and you get 4 adventures and 4 PDF flip mat tile sheets. So it's pretty stacked for $15. So if you are thinking maybe you want to do Pathfinder, so you want to try Pathfinder?
You know what? I'm just
Humble
on
bundle.
the humble bundle. There's also an RPG book bundle by Kobold Press, who is
Mhm.
the other big D&D adjacent game maker.
Right.
They have a humble bundle as well going on.
They're not fools. They're not idiots. They
Yeah.
know that this is the time to strike, and they're doing it. There's also, by the way, a $25 humble bundle from Paizo that is all 27 PDFs plus the Foundry virtual tabletop bundle, including the Abomination Vaults Mega Dungeon Adventure Path for Foundry. And you get the Secrets of Magic book, which introduces new spells, new classes, archetypes, and more, as well as the Game Mastery Guide and the new Fistful of Flowers adventure. Just to give you a sense of the value of this, the Abomination Vaults Adventure Path is more than $25. So, huge deal. And yeah, they really did name it. So, you want to try out Pathfinder. Good for you, Paizo. This makes me like you even more. All right. So, your next item.
Oh man, I'm just browsing. They've also got an Image Comics bundle that's like winter horror that has an absolutely insane number of comics. $18 for 46 comics? Jesus. That's
Nick, stop
actually
shopping.
that's really good.
Stop shopping.
Ugh.
AC Ray says, Edie, you've gone the way of Nick's browsing. You know better. I know better, but I was really busy this week today. I did not prep this show at all. You know what I did to prep the show? I started StreamYard. That's all I did. That's why Nick is carrying this freaking show.
Okay, I've got more stories.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know what the PlayStation Plus collection is? If not, you should correct that. The PlayStation Plus collection is a series of free PlayStation games that Sony gave away with the release of the PS5. It was kind of a means of, hey, you bought a PS5?
How did I not know about this?
Like, hey, you bought a PS5? Come download like a kind of greatest hits of all of a whole bunch of games.
Mm-hmm.
That has been ongoing since 2020, the release of the PS5. Sony has announced in a blog post that on May 9th of this year, the PlayStation Plus collection will no longer be offered. So if you haven't redeemed the titles, do it before May 9th.
Where would I find the redemption on that?
So you go to the PlayStation Store, and I'm trying to think of what it is. Oh, actually, this Kotaku article has the instructions. Go to the PlayStation Store,
Mm-hmm.
scroll down to the bottom until you see the icon for PlayStation Plus collection.
Okay.
And once you do that, you'll see a list of games. All you have to do is just select the game and say add to your library. You don't have to download it, just add it to your library and you'll have access to it for as long as you are a PlayStation Plus member. And these games include Batman Arkham Knight, Battlefield 1, Bloodborne, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombie Chronicles Edition, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15, God of War 2018, which is the better of the God of War games, Infamous Second Son, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat X, Ratchet and Clank, that's the remake of the original game, Resident Evil 7, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us Remastered, which is not The Last of Us Part 1, which is the PlayStation 5 version of The Last of Us. This is the PlayStation 4 update for the PlayStation 3 Last of Us, which is very confusing. But then Uncharted 4 A Thief's End, which just might be the best Uncharted game, and Until Dawn. the first game from Supermassive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pulling this up right now. Oh, there you go. Pulling up the list so that you can see it graphically. That is not a bad list at all.
Yeah, it's a great list, and if for any reason you haven't played any of these games, like this is a great time to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. There's the list for you. I'm trying to zoom in for you so that you can see it. Come on, there we go. No, not that, not that, not that. Yeah, that's not a bad list at all. I am okay with it. Bloodborne's in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a pretty good list. Oh, Last Guardian is in there. I always wanted to pick that up, and I just never did.
That's
Okay.
a cool game.
Yeah.
I like that game.
Okay. So thank you. Chenderbox says I can't find the link for them. The one for the Winter Horror Image comics or the one for the PlayStation Plus collection. So yeah, I will absolutely. Blood Reaper said didn't like Bloodborne. Yeah,
Get
I'll
out of here.
absolutely
Stop
be doing
stop
that.
listening to this podcast. We don't want you anymore. I don't want you around here. Didn't like Bloodborne.
Oh, for the PS collection. You mean you can't find it on your PlayStation, or you can't find the list? Because
Yeah,
the list.
is it not? I wonder. I don't know if I think it might only be available for PS5. I wonder if you have a PS4 if
Yeah, I think it was for PS5. It says PS5 owners won't get this set of free PS4 games for much longer.
yeah. Because I think they released it.
He'll take his news and go, and the show crashes. Nick actually has to do some work. You're blushing because it's true.
No, I don't want you. I never wanted you. That's fine. That's fine.
I don't need you.
We don't need no Bloodborne haters up in here.
He's wrong. We do. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
do.
sorry.
He needs you more. He knows.
I don't
It's
need
all
any
right.
of you. I don't need any of
appreciate
you.
Yeah, maybe you do have to put it on the. Yeah, I would imagine that it's a PS5 kind of.
Yeah, I think it
thing.
is. I think it was like I said, hey, you bought a PS5. Here's a bunch of games to go with it.
Right. Because there weren't a lot of games to come out on the PS5 right when you bought it, when it first came out.
No, I think there's like 2.
Yeah. They kind of had to.
They had to.
It was a consolation prize.
Yes.
For paying $2,000 for to some scalper out there.
Which I will say, I'm very tempted to get a PSVR 2. I really want to, but I've been looking, and I've said that I would get one. I would really love to, but it's expensive, and it doesn't come with any games.
Yeah.
And it's like that's what's killing me is I'm looking at that going, oh, it's $550 and I get nothing from that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
I could spend $550 to have a lot more fun with something. Honestly, I could spend $550 on a bunch of games and probably have more fun than I would have with the PSVR.
Oh, sure. Like so part of me is like, well, I'll wait until there's a cheaper bundle, right?
Right.
This Christmas, this November, this Black Friday, I'm sure there's going to be something out, but I'm just like the PlayStation 5, it came with all these games, right? Like when you launch a new platform, you should have something. In fact, the PlayStation 5 launched with Astro's Playroom.
Yes, it did.
That little platformer. That
platformer was a great game.
It was wonderful.
It was really, really good game.
They need an Astro's Playroom for PSVR 2.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have a PlayStation 5, Astro's Playroom is fantastic because it uses all of the functionality that I don't like that are still not being used in other games. Like when you were playing on, you're walking on ice, it felt like you were walking on ice in the joystick. I haven't had any game that has actually used that functionality.
Returnal did some. Returnal was really cool. But also, AC Wraith makes a point that I'm buying the VR headset for the wrong reason.
Yes, you are, clearly.
He says I should be buying it for porn.
Yeah. Sony PlayStation cuts the PS4. Oh,
I saw that news story and I've forgotten about that. There were rumors that Sony has cut the production of PSVR 2 or like initial production like by 50% because there just hasn't been a lot of pre-orders.
AC Ray just linked a story that says we have not cut PSVR 2 production numbers.
That yeah.
From Sony says.
You know what? I'm sure the truth is somewhere in between.
Probably. Hey, this actually plays in very well to my last story. We're just talking about production and Sony and, new consoles and things. If you don't have an Xbox Series X or S, you may want to pick one up. What?
I want to say, Chunderbox says a lot of developers has announced they will do free updates for their PSVR games to be compatible with PSVR 2. If that's true, then there's a lot of PSVR games I'm itching to play, so I would jump on that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Sorry, I am looking for my article because I did a nick.
Did you accidentally close the tab?
I did.
Oh,
There we
okay,
go.
I'll go.
Found it. I just had to pull it back up. So if you have not purchased a PlayStation Series S or X yet, and you were thinking that one of these days I'm going to do it, Xbox.
Okay.
Did I say PlayStation? I mean Xbox. Yeah. Xbox Series X or S. You haven't done it. You may want to do it sooner rather than later because Xbox has announced that they are going to be raising the prices of the Series X and S. Yes. In a very unusual move because usually a couple of years after console comes out, they drop the prices. No, they're it's starting out already in Japan. They're going to roll it out into North America and everywhere else. A price hike of 5,000 yen from across both of the Microsoft consoles, which is about a $40 increase in price. This is in Japan right now. This is going to turn the suggested retail price of an Xbox Series X to 59,978 yen, which is about $457. $460. And the Series S to 37,978 yen, which comes out to about $291. So bottom line, prices are going to go up, not by a lot, but they are going up. And according to Microsoft Japan, they said, after carefully evaluating the market condition in Japan, we've decided to change the suggested retail price of Xbox consoles in the country. We regularly evaluate the impact of local pricing to maintain reasonable consistency across regions. This price revision affects our customers and was a difficult decision to make, but going forward, we will continue to provide the ultimate Xbox experience that our customers expect. Some are suggesting that it's not just Japan, that they're going to possibly raise prices simply because of inflation, that the cost of the dollar is not what it used to be when they originally priced it, and also the increased costs of production, since, of course, the whole chip crisis that we had last year, the cost of shutting down facilities and shutting down factories and then gearing them back up. There was an added incurred cost that Microsoft was not prepared for when they originally priced this, so that they're actually starting to think of readjusting things. So, and the reason why they think that it might actually not be just Japan is because Phil Spencer last year refused to rule out a price hike when he was asked.
I remember that.
Right. Well, the price hikes are starting. So if you have not picked up a Series X and or S, they are fairly easy to find now. They're not difficult. And you need to you're going to want to make the plunge. You might want to make the plunge now if you can, because it's going to cost you a little bit more when they do. And I can guarantee you it's not going to be on this date. They're just going to raise the prices and the next day. It's like gas. You're going to wake up and it's going to be $40 or $50 more. So, yeah, that's the thing. And that's my last item. What you got? What you want?
Okay. This is kind of, I guess this is bigger news than we should have mentioned this earlier. Can you find that article by the guy who was predicting like spicy takes, nuclear takes, medium takes?
Oh, AC Wraith might have
Because
it.
I remember he made a prediction for a game to be delayed, right? A major game to be delayed.
Let me see if I can go into my history.
Well, we have the first big delay of 2023.
So hold on. There we go. Diggs 2023 prediction. Oh gosh. Do you use your search history? It's very, very, very effective. It does the job.
I could have, but I would have rather asked you. You know, I want to make you involved. This is a podcast, right? It's a dialogue between two people. I want to involve you. I don't want to just monologue.
All right. Let me see. It is. Let me pull it up. I'm pulling it up right now. I am adding it to the thing. There it is.
Thunderbox also confirmed that the PS Plus collection is for PS5 consoles only.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So here's the predictions. And you said what was going to be delayed?
Something. Yeah. There's a big delay.
We get another unfortunate massive leak of a studio spills the beans on a beloved project they were working on. Microsoft deal doesn't labor movement. Star Wars hot sauce predictions.
Ooh, that second one. I might have something on that.
Okay.
Oh, an unexpected AAA delay happens to something we all swear is coming out this year.
Yeah.
So, Star Wars Jedi Survivor is still coming out this year, but it was delayed a month. So instead of coming out in March, it's coming out in April.
Does that count?
It's a big delay.
It's a month. It's hardly a delay. I guess so.
Well, we'll see. You know, if you remember, I believe Battlefield 2042 was also delayed a month. And look how that turned out. So,
well, here's why I don't know this counts. All right. Here's why. The actual text says a very unexpected AAA delay happens to something we all swear was coming out this year.
Yes, I see
so
now that
I think
it specifies.
He's suggesting that it's being delayed and coming out next year.
Okay.
Didn't we already have a couple? What delays did we have that were announced last? Was it Skull and Bones?
Oh,
but
true.
Then again, it's arguable that did we really swear it was coming out this year and it was unexpected?
I mean,
it's already been delayed 5 times.
They let you pre-order it.
Yeah, it's true. I am kind of surprised by that. And then they refunded all the pre-orders. So that is a bit unexpected. That when they get to that point,
also, I think Skull and Bones also deserves an extra special award for being delayed in what was it, January or February?
It was January. We're only in the 5th day of February.
Yeah, for being delayed in January and not being delayed into 2023. Right?
Yeah.
How do you announce a delay?
Yeah. You know what?
January?
Yeah. I think that there is your. I think that Skull and Bones is the one that hits this because it's going into the next year, and I would have sworn that it was coming out this year. Maybe not. You know, maybe it would be delayed, but it would certainly come out in 2023. They took pre-orders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And to say in January we're delaying our game, it's not this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, but scroll up.
Okay.
The second point that he makes under hot sauce predictions.
Under hot sauce predictions, the new Uncharted game announced, and it gets a tie-in with the inevitable sequel to the film starring Tom Holland, which made way too much money.
So this is potentially a spoiler for Uncharted 4. Not like a big spoiler, but whatever. There's a new PlayStation 5 ad. And I'm going to share my screen. And in this ad, there's a very brief shot of a woman holding a torch in a cave. And it comes amidst a montage of a bunch of other games that people know. Something for Returnal, something for Forza, something for Final Fantasy, something for Horizon, blah, 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 all these PlayStation exclusives. And then we get this shot. And there's a lot of people speculating that this is going to be a new Uncharted game starring Nathan Drake's daughter, who was revealed at the end of the 4th game.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's basically here. I can kind of rewind a bit to show you. Like, see, there's a little gag about Ratchet and Clank, about Returnal, about Forza, and then we get a brief shot of something that's not announced. We get things like Stray, we get Spider-Man, we get God of War, Horizon, all games people know, followed by one mysterious shot of something that looks weirdly, suspiciously like Uncharted.
Yeah.
And so that has people speculating that there's going to be a new Uncharted game announced pretty soon.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, it's just like literally, it's a brief, not even a full second. It's
Yeah.
like 3/4 of a second, half a second.
And like later on, there's a very, very brief shot. Like
I was going to say,
close-up.
isn't it later on that they have like a big, like a screen with all the games on it?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
in
see
blue.
this.
There we go.
Someone blowing on it. There is a thing of blue.
Yeah, go back before that.
Not this one?
No, yeah, well, never mind. Let's just go through the blue if there's anything on that blue screen.
Not that I can tell.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
I can't tell from this.
You'd have to watch it multiple times over, and I'm not that interested.
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah.
So yeah, so what
interesting.
What also makes this really interesting is that this comes on the heels of an interview with Neil Druckmann, where he was talking about The Last of Us, specifically the Last of Us TV show, and he was saying about how much freedom they have under Sony, and like, oh yeah, we're not asked to make something just because it's made money. Like, we have freedom to do this, and he's like, maybe we'll do Last of Us again, like maybe we'll do Last of Us Part 3, but he was answering a question about Last of Us Part 3, and he basically said, if we have an idea, we'll do it. We're not forced to just because the franchise made money. And he mentions, we closed the door on Uncharted with Uncharted 4, and we're really happy with the way we ended Nathan Drake's story. And like, we don't feel the need to revisit that. So that also has people speculating that if this is a new Uncharted game, it's probably helmed by someone other than Naughty Dog.
I think that's kind of cool. I think also there's a lot of stuff in there that, you know, it could be something else. The first thing I saw, I looked at it, I thought, oh, Tomb Raider. It's the first thing I thought.
Yeah, it could be.
Because we know they're going to do some Tomb Raiders. I mean, now that Embracer Group owns it, we know that they're interested in doing Tomb Raiders. Not like they have to like wrest control of Square Enix from, you know.
The reason I think that's unlikely is because this comes in a PlayStation 5 ad that's highlighting PlayStation exclusives.
Yeah, probably. What do you think, chat room? Do you think that's the young mistress Drake, or are we looking at something completely different? What's your opinion?
I hope it is, because
and if you're watching on YouTube and you're watching, you have to like, drop this into the comments. I'm interested to know what game you do think it is.
I think it's a new Uncharted, and I would be psyched for that. I would be psyched to see them pick up that franchise with a different character, because Uncharted 4 like really was a fantastic closing the book on Nathan Drake's story as a character. Like, it does that really, really well. But there's so many other characters in that universe that you could have a story of. Like, they did a mini game with Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which is like a side story with 2 different characters. That was really, really fun.
Mm-hmm. Blood Reaper says, I think it's a new IP.
Mm.
AC Wraith says, I think I'm a PC gamer. Just because you're a PC gamer doesn't make you can't play a PlayStation game. I guess it sort of does.
Uncharted is on PC now.
Yeah.
So you have no excuse, AC Wraith.
We have no excuse not to play that game.
Yes.
Yeah, man, I hate throwing my word behind something that is so like Easter eggy, like less than a second worth of stuff. For the same reason that I'm not putting a lot of credence behind that. This is the leaked gameplay by Dragon Age. It's like, yeah, it's like 3 seconds of something. Is it everything that I need to know? Should I be freaking out because everything's different or changed or it's, comparing it to what it was?
Does that Dragon Age thing count as Diggs' prediction of a leak? He predicted another big leak.
No. Let's see.
It is not on the scale of GTA 6.
He predicted, let me go back to that. Let's go back to it. He predicted, let's say, Overwatch 2. That's the hot sauce. Mild sauce. Let's see what the mild sauce was. There was a prediction of
oh wait, he predicted that E3 would die what was it, honorable death?
A tepid I die an honorable death instead of being a propped up corpse.
But it will be tepid at best. I think that comes on the news that all 3 of the big publishers are not going to be at this year's E3.
Yeah. I think that was a very mild prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what was it? Hot sauce Overwatch 2, unexpected delay, classic game gets a GoldenEye treatment. The fire sauce was where was that one that about an unexpected game being?
Yeah, scroll down
leaked.
some more. Maybe that
it
was
wasn't a hot sauce. Fire sauce is not fire sauce.
I'll switch to okay. Keep going.
No, it's not a Diablo sauce. Yeah.
No, I guess it's not. I thought I saw something.
I thought I saw something too. Grand Theft Auto, get some sort of information. Grand Theft Auto 6, massive leak from a studio that spills the beans on a beloved project we're working on. Yeah, no, that doesn't count because this is a massive leak from a studio that spills the beans. I'm assuming that it means that the leak spills the beans, not the studio spilling the beans on a beloved project they're working on. I don't know that this spills the beans on anything.
I guess this isn't massive either.
No, it's not massive. We know they're doing Dragon Age. We've been working on it long enough. We knew there's a new Dragon Age coming out. The fact that it might be slightly different gameplay would not be either it might be leaked footage, but it doesn't leak anything of consequence, really. People that love Dragon Age are going to play Dragon Age, period. The end. We're not playing it. You could turn it into like tabletop game and we will play it if we still get that same feeling from that story.
I think there is a Dragon Age tabletop game.
I'm sure there is because we buy shit. We buy stupid shit for way too much money because we are victims to that game. All right. Anything else?
Yes. So, several years ago, or was it several years ago or a couple of years ago? This past October, there was a NASCAR driver who became a meme when he did the wall riding trick from video games in real life. Do you remember this? When he sped into a corner, and instead of braking to take the turn, he put his car up against the wall and hit the gas and scraped along the wall in order to maintain a speed and to pass people who were braking as he was going around the curve. And people compared it to, quote, the kind of shit you do in a video game.
I am pulling it up as we speak. All right. All right, so I guess this is from every angle, so we're not seeing him on the outside. All right, so he's going
Yep,
along,
see?
and he's just
That
okay,
that allowed him to take the corner faster than other players,
right,
than other drivers.
right. He could just lean into it and just let it scrape
Yeah, NASCAR has banned that move.
for good reason. It's a
NASCAR,
really good way to get a lot of people killed. If it's fine as long as only one person does it per race.
yes. So they have the NASCAR website has changed the rules to specify that riding the outer wall to get an advantage is no longer tolerated.
Mhm. Yeah. Not only that, it fucks up your car real good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, looks like people lost their minds too in the stands.
Oh, I'm sure. Like that's not something you see all the time. Like that is an insane, like fuck it move.
Wow, he came all the way from the back.
Hmm.
Holy buckets.
Yeah, look at that. He gets into like fourth place from eighth or something.
Yeah, oh wow.
Wow, he passed like 5 cars.
Oh my god, and he does it again. And here it is.
And imagine if that one car wasn't in front of him, he could have gotten a lot higher up the final list.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, if that Kohler car hadn't been there. Okay, what are we looking at here? See if we can count how many cars he went by.
Oh,
I'm
it's
I am sure this is gonna get us demonetized here. 1, 2, 3. It's gotta be
one,
he's
two,
gotta be
three, four,
10
five,
cars.
6. I think it's at least 6.
Right. So this move has been banned by NASCAR.
Yes, any kind of riding the outer wall to get an advantage. So
Yeah.
if your car scrapes against the wall and you keep going, that's not illegal. It's
Yeah.
specifically doing it to get an advantage, like this guy did.
Bitter
It's
says that was totally badass. Totally worth it. Yeah. Yeah, not gonna lie.
and you know what? He will always be that guy. What's his
Yeah.
name? Ross Chastain.
Ross Chastain. So, yeah, I think that's probably wise because that move works exactly once.
Mm-hmm.
And then if anybody else tries it again, if 2 people do it at the same time, bad things happen. So anyway, you were saying.
Next one. The PS5 is apparently doing very well. It has had its best quarter ever last quarter. It has sold 30 million PS5 units to customers, which is behind the PS4 at this point in its life, but also the PS4 didn't ship during a pandemic and have the same kind of
Scalper problems.
scalper problems. But yes, basically just, hey, the PS5 is now selling very well.
Good. Yeah, people can actually get it. I've had neighbors that bought one over Christmas, which I can't believe it took that long for it to happen. They still had to buy them from Costco as the more expensive bundle, but they could get them. That's how I got my PlayStation 5 back when it first came out, and that was the only one I could find. So it's getting possible now. Much like I wish Chaos was here. Actually, maybe is Vice here? I was wondering if anybody's talked to Andrew about how he feels about what he paid for his GPU. Actually, what I paid for his GPU.
So one of the things that's interesting about this quarter report is that the PlayStation Plus subscribers has increased after decreasing for 2 quarters. So it was down, then it was down again, and now it's up midway. It's still lower than what it was when PlayStation initially revamped the whole Plus service to add in these 3 tiers now that no one can remember the names of. But even though the number of subscribers is lower than it was then, the amount of money they're making off of those subscribers remains higher than it was previously.
Yeah.
So they're making more money off fewer people.
John Walker says he bought, I'm assuming he means a PlayStation 5 this week exclusively to use with the PSVR 2. So you had the PSVR 2 before you bought the PS5? Or
Or
you just
no,
messing with
no,
us?
no, the PSVR 2 isn't out yet. But I'm sure
Oh, I
bought
see. I
he
see.
bought a PS5
In anticipation that
preparation.
he is going to be purchasing a PSVR 2.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. I don't even know when they come out because I am decidedly not interested in them based on the price. For
February
exactly the reason
21st.
that Nick
I
said.
know, I
He
know.
said, don't give me something. Give me something to come out with it so I don't have to go out and immediately buy another PSVR game.
If I see Super Hot, right now Super Hot is not on
Really?
PSVR 2. If Super Hot gets on there, that's a buy.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, he pre-ordered it on February 22nd. Wow, so John, I am fascinated by this. So you didn't even own a PlayStation 5 and you knew that you wanted the PSVR 2 so much that you pre-ordered the PSVR 2 and then went out and bought a PlayStation 5 to play on it. Like you were in. What was it that sold you on the PSVR 2 that we're not saying, that's not selling to us?
It's still cheaper than a Meta Quest Pro. It's still cheaper than
oh my god, the Meta Quest. Oh god, anything to do with Meta these days.
Still cheaper than a Valve Index.
Probably.
Oh, no, the Vive. I think it's the Vive.
Even so, I have yet to see the compelling, and I have to consider when it's talking about PlayStation, the PSVR. I consider that a console for the reason that it needs to have something that sells it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know that maybe, and I'm talking about console, not like a PlayStation 5. Like I knew I was going to get a PlayStation 5 because I'm into already the console grind of every year getting it. I'm talking about when I got my first, modern day console, which was between the 360 and the PlayStation 3. That I had to make the decision, which one did I want to get and what was going to sell me? Which system was I going to get? Where was I going to lay my loyalty? And it was the PlayStation. Well, it was a price that did it for me, but the 360 had the superior games for me. It really did. And that's what sold me on it and kept me with PlayStation 360 for as long as it was, and really made me a PlayStation fangirl for many years until PlayStation screwed it up with the one. So I consider the PSVR being a console, at least in that sense. And I have yet to see that thing that says, okay, all right, I'll get one. Or, okay, I want one now. I'll ask for it for Christmas or whatever. I'll put some money away for it. I've yet to see that come out. No one has compelled me. John has answered, predominantly a PC gamer, do not need base stations of the PSVR 2. Camera headset tracking looks impressive. So it wasn't any particular game. You're just, to you, it says it looks impressive. John, I hope you come back after February 22nd and you report to us whether, because you're how much is the PSVR 2? It's like 500, right?
550.
So you're like 1150 in at this point, right? For this thing that looks interesting. Let me know.
I'm in
if
the
you
same
really
boat.
think that it was worth the.
I think it looks really interesting and really cool.
Yeah. Bitter says it wasn't created by Yves Guillemot and Bobby Kotick. Genderbrock says if you add the extras that were required for the PSVR, i.e. the camera and the move controllers, PSVR 2 is actually cheaper. Good point.
Interesting.
Good point. Because it was spendy. And I remember, do you remember it was the God, what was the name of the Meta Quest headset before it became Meta? What was sold by?
Oculus.
Oculus. Remember when was it Oculus or was it PlayStation that gave everybody pink eye at PAX?
Oh, it was Oculus.
It was Oculus, yeah. But I remember the first time playing VR the first time ever in any VR was a PSVR 1 before it came out at PAX East, I think it was. And I thought it was cool, but I also thought,
See,
what can I play in it? What can you give me?
One of the first VR experiences I ever had was playing Fruit
Yeah, he
Ninja
is.
in
Mhm.
VR with a specialized controller that was a katana hilt.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And it was so cool. I'm chasing that high again. I've spent what, like 6 years waiting for the chance to chase that high again. I've never seen that controller anywhere else. It must have been like some sort of custom proprietary attachment.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that they haven't figured out the thing that will sell, like the controller. If a really good fighting game came out with a, proprietary PSVR controller like a katana hilt that was part of the package. So you're paying like $150 for it. Would you pay $150 for that high?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, see? There you
Yeah.
go. That's the things. Fitters, stop saying stop saying the bad words, the no words. You're gonna get us in trouble.
I mean, we've already
YouTube.
sworn plenty on this episode.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is that YouTube considers all swear words equal. So think of the worst swear word in the world and the lightest swear word in the world. They consider those exactly the equal, with the exception of hell and damn. They've actually removed those. They don't consider those swear words anymore.
Butthead.
Yeah. Damn or hell, you're 100% okay. Everything else, it is all equal. Just think of the worst swear word you could possibly think of. No matter what you say, it is the equivalent of saying that word. Blood Reaper says, yeah, he'd buy that one. I'm not gonna lie, I probably could too. Chaos, god damn it, Chaos. Stop. You're scaring Nightbot, Chaos. Stop spamming.
Why is it that Nightbot always seems to say something about Chaos?
Because
like you always trigger Nightbot.
I don't know. Because he tends to like what was it? Oh, it was the symbols. I think he put a couple of ellipses in there, and I think that's what got it. In the first 5 minutes, yes. You're right, and I shouldn't have done that. I need to change that. Chenderbox says the PSVR AIM or AIM controller. I said, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's like
was great.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't remember the AIM
It
controller.
looked cool.
What was
It
the
was
AIM
like
controller?
It's like a gun attachment.
Oh yes. I remember that. I mean, at testing at conventions like PlayStation, like PAX. Chaos says, I need to be made into a moderator. No. You don't get to be a moderator. By the way, how do you feel about that price that we paid for that graphics card, that GPU? Yeah, I knew that there would be I knew that in a short period of time that we would regret our decisions. I did not realize that it would be that fast. I think it'd be a couple of years.
You don't even get a couple of years.
AC Ray says, why is Nightbot? Don't do cabs. Cabs makes Nightbot very unhappy. Apparently AC Wraith can have all of the caps he wants. And what do you mean, what price? What the price of the GPU that you bought? I paid. I bought his GPU.
Yeah. See, he didn't pay anything.
Mm-mm. I
It
bought it
was
for him.
it was absolutely worth the price for him.
For him, yeah. But I know that he would feel bad knowing that the cost of GPUs has gone through the floor since then.
Hmm.
He got a reasonable deal. That's true, but you had to buy didn't you have to buy a monitor with it as a package? Yeah, that's it. He got it bundled with a monitor, so not too bad a deal. Yeah, true. All right, that makes me feel slightly better. But yes, I need, where is it? John. After the 22nd, make sure if you aren't here next week or whenever, just make sure you promise me that you're going to come back after the 22nd, after you put some time into it, and then kind of give us a sense of like, all right, you dropped a lot more money than we would have to drop because we've already had to have the PS5s. Was worth it. And why? Because I think especially Nick is looking for someone to actually convince him. So if you can do that, I think he'll
So
appreciate it.
the
I
funny
think he
thing
wants
is,
to be convinced.
I want to be convinced, but here's the truth. It depends on how much money I get back from taxes.
Yeah. See, I haven't filed my 2021 taxes yet. So I
Really?
have 2021, 2022 to do. If the government owes you money, you don't have to file taxes. And I know the government owes me money. And it owes me a lot of money. It owes me like something like $3,000 or $4,000. So, and they pay you.
Well, see, you can afford
They
a
pay you interest.
PSVR.
They pay you interest. Oh yeah.
Use that money to get a PSVR.
I absolutely have enough money to get a PSVR, but I'm trying to save for a couple things.
PSVR
One
2
is the
chaos.
car is not doing so great. We know that the car it's in its last year or so.
Okay.
So that I want to own it. And also, I got other things I want to spend my money on other than PlayStation. I got some goals now that I have a job where actually the goals are possible. So I'm scrimping.
You're
It's kind of funny. I got a job that makes almost twice as much money as I was making before. And I'm actually trying to save more money now because the goals are actually possible. Whereas before the goals weren't even possible. So why bother? Now I'm actually like, okay, the goals are possible and I want it as soon as humanly possible. So I'm like not eating lunch because if I don't bring my lunch, like last week, I didn't have like bread in the house and I didn't have like cheese or anything. I'm making ham and cheese and taking it to work. I am not going out to lunch. And I'm in like lunch heaven lunch place. I'm in the just outside of the financial district. I'm right between North Beach, which is a food mecca for like Italian, especially Italian. I'm in a place called Jackson Square. Jackson Square is literally right between the financial district, which is all of the like lunch places for the financial district. North Beach, which is the Italian district, which is like some of the best legendary seafood and pasta and everything else, and Chinatown, which amazing Chinese and Korean food there. So I'm surrounded by great food. And I am eating the free granola bars we get in the snack room.
I mean,
lunch.
the thing is though, like that's not bad. Like, because eating out every day gets insanely expensive. I don't care how much money you make. If you eat out every day, even if you eat out at McDonald's every day, that adds up to a lot of money over time.
AC Ray, shut up. I can choose to either fix that expensive chimney lean or decide who it lands on. Yeah. We're not going to mention that. It's fine. I'm absolutely sure that the chimney's fine.
Okay, hang on. I want chaos. Tell me about Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, because I keep seeing that game mentioned in the PSVR. Like, oh, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is coming out. I've always ignored it because I feel like every Walking Dead game other than the Telltale ones have been bad.
What other
And
Walking Dead games have there been other than the Telltale
there's
games?
been a lot of them.
Has there?
That's why you've never heard of them.
Wow. Okay.
Because they all came out. They
Case
got
in point.
yeah. And so I just assumed that Saints and Sinners was like a port of a bad game, but apparently you're saying it's pretty darn good. Oh, and John Walker says that the PSVR he got is bundled with the new Horizon game.
Oh. Yeah.
That's not Horizon Forbidden West. That's
No,
the
it's Horizon Call of the Mountain PSVR game.
It's the one specifically made for PSVR.
Yeah, you got to come back and tell us all about it. You're going to make a guest appearance. Well, maybe not an appearance, but you'll make I will section off and we will just chat here and you can tell me all about it. And I think that if you're going to convince Nick of anything, that would be one of the games that might convince him if it's that good. Chaos says it's complicated. Solid voice acting, good mechanics, well thought out story. It's complicated because VR games are an interesting thing.
Okay. Chunderbox had mentioned that. It looks like you push down both hands to go through a window. That's cool.
It is kind of neat.
And yeah, AC Wraith specifies that that's one of the games that has the free PS5 update. PSVR 2 update.
Okay.
But yeah, I always glossed over it because I just assumed, Walking Dead video game, it must be bad.
Thank you for saying this, Bitters. He says, I've never heard of Walking Dead game that wasn't Telltale. Thank you. You made me feel a little bit better about is there one?
Okay, wait. There was one, and maybe I'm biased because there was one that came out that just got trashed. Oh my God, Shepard, get out of the way. I can't type.
Our third chair co-host really needs to find his own chair. Not your lap. If you haven't met Shepard, everybody, that's Shepard.
Oh, maybe it's the Walking Dead Survival Instinct, published by Activision.
You know what? I'm remembering something that I may have said. That triggered something in my head of recalling saying something that the best Walking Dead game wasn't a Walking Dead game. It was
Days Gone.
No.
Oh.
Damn it! What's the Xbox game?
State of Decay.
State of Decay. State of Decay was the best Walking Dead game, but it's not Walking Dead.
Chunderbox says the Walking Dead Onslaught wasn't popular. I don't even know what that is, but I'm looking at the Walking Dead Survival Instincts, which, according to Wikipedia, got panned by critics, citing broken gameplay mechanics, poor graphics, bland environments, lack of meaningful storytelling,
What was
and
it called? Walking
not
Dead
meeting
what?
the high expectations associated with its source material. Survival Instincts.
All right, pulling it up. Let's take a look what they're saying. AC Ray says I gave the Walking Dead table for the Pinball FX a bad review. Look at you, living wild. All right, let's take a look and see what this is all about. All right. I don't know. I mean, it looks like a game. I don't see anything particularly broken. I don't see anything particularly stand out, either good or bad. Oh, that's clear. This is clearly the beginning of the game when he's in the
like it's probably
hospital. Oh, that is not good combat. That is terrible graphics.
Yeah, this just looks really bland.
Yeah. Looks like somebody. Oh gosh, really? That's it? Oh, I can see it. All right, I can see it. Why? It's funny. It's in that moment you see everything that's wrong.
And then I think that I heard about, and then Overkill's The Walking Dead. This was a Walking Dead game by the studio that did Payday that I think got canceled and never came out.
Oh,
Let's see. It was a first-person shooter. Oh no,
Overkill?
it was published by Starbreeze on November 9th, but due to licensing and poor reception, it was later delisted. Yeah.
Okay, I got it here. I got a video of the gameplay. Let's take a look and see what this is all about.
Oh yeah, Chaos says that Overkill's Walking Dead sucked.
So, what was the overall thing that they were complaining about?
I don't know exactly. It's just poor reception. It's not getting into details.
Anybody have any insight as to what people did not like about it? I mean, it looks fine. Looks better than the other one.
I could look up a review of it.
Yeah. At least that one looks like a much better takedown. Not much, but it's better.
Outdated design, severe repetition, infuriating difficulty spikes. Slant says that the game feels less like its own entry into the existing Walking Dead universe, more than a reskin of Payday 2. Unreasonable load times, technical issues, long missions without checkpoints. Overkill's The Walking Dead certainly stokes the player's despair, but not the sort that its developers intended.
So, yeah, I guess it's not that it looked bad. The graphics weren't the issue.
Yeah,
This definitely looks better.
Graphically, yeah, I think it was fine, but everything else about it felt
Everybody, just
old.
bad planning.
Anyways, so I'm happy to see that Saints and Sinners is a better game.
Yeah.
We're all full circle.
Yeah, he says it just wasn't fun. They haven't nailed anything other than Payday. Video with few details. Great radio for Libsyn.
Hey.
Thank you, AC Wraith. Sorry.
Stop that cat. He's woken up and now he's scratching at everything.
Let's see. Yeah, I put my VR comments in a bit back, he says. It looks like the forest with a Walking Dead skin. Yeah, I agreed. That's exactly what and the forest looked fine. It was not horrible, but yeah. So, any other news items?
Yes, I just have one last one that is kind of interesting. So, did you ever see Squid Game?
I watched a couple of episodes, and because of when it came out, in what was going on in my life, I was in no mood to see people suffering. I needed comedy, and I needed a lot of comedy. Anything sad, couldn't do it. So yeah, no, I know the premise. I watched it. I did see the red light, green light. But that's as far as I went.
Yeah. So Squid Game, famous show on Netflix. It's basically a death game show. But it got really popular, so popular that Netflix unironically announced they're making an actual reality show based on the death game of Squid Game. So there are now some contestants. There's a news story that some contestants are saying that the show is rigged.
Of course it's rigged.
That they're alleging incompetence by scale. Because the thing about Squid Game is that it had like 400 contestants in it. And that's fine, when you're going to murder like half the people every game.
Right.
It's much harder when you're not doing that. And so people are saying incompetencies of scale. They bit off more than they could chew. Some of this has to do with playing red light, green light in 30-minute increments at 26 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know where they are that it's so cold. But that it's so cold, that caused a lot of injury on set, especially with people like falling over each other.
Right.
Also, they're saying that some of the games were rigged in that Instagram and TikTok influencers were scripted to advance to the next round, regardless of how well they did.
That, I think, absolutely they did that.
And I'm going to quote this from the Kotaku article. In one incident, 3 former contestants called the 38-second massacre. A bunch of contestants had their blood squib packs go off and were eliminated from the reality show, even though they had successfully completed a game with time to spare.
Because they didn't want them to go through, because they wanted other people that would get more viewers.
Mm-hmm.
I am very much. Do you remember the game show? Like the game show controversy wasn't really controversy; it was a scandal about was it $36 million question?
I don't know about that.
So I got to look it up. Yes, this was in the 50s, I think it was, when television was in its infancy and everything was still black and white. And they had a game show that it was called the $38,000 question. And it was like our Jeopardy, in that very, 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 very smart people went on there. And everybody in the country watched the $38,000 question. And it was finally alleged that, I'm not alleged, it was found to prove that they were, the game was rigged. In fact, there's a movie called Game Show, I believe it's called, about that whole scandal, about how it went down. And it was not just a little scandal, it was big, like a federal investigation.
Wait, is that Quiz Show?
Quiz Show.
I think I've heard of that movie.
Right. It's about the story of this scandal.
Oh.
Where there was like government agencies investigating rigged game shows. And it became a huge thing. Huge thing. And so game shows are, to my knowledge, fairly heavily regulated after that whole thing. And I'm wondering if Squid Game, the producers of Squid Game, did not know this. There we go. Thank you. Quiz show. $64,000 question. That's what it was. Yeah, let me look that up in the 60 of the Wikipedia on that. Thank you for that. Wikipedia.
Yeah, the 1950s quiz show scandals.
That's
I've got a Wikipedia here. The show's producers secretly gave assistance to certain contestants in order to prearrange the show's outcome, while still attempting to deceive the public into believing these shows were objective and fair competitions.
Right.
Producers fixed the shows sometimes with the free consent of contestants and out of various motives, improving ratings, greed, lack of regulations prohibiting such conspiracy in game show productions. Scandal took place at a time when television was still emerging as a medium and had yet to become the established cultural force in American society. When the behavior of the producers and contestants were exposed, the public reacted with shock. Many expressed concern about the potential for the young medium of television to influence society in negative ways.
Mm-hmm.
As a direct consequence, Congress amended the Communications Act of 1934 to prohibit networks from prearranging the outcomes of quiz shows. In the United States, it has since become standard industry practice for game show producers to monitor their own shows closely for cheating and ensure fairness in play and compliance with broadcasting law to the highest degree possible. I wonder if that is Netflix's workaround. We're not a broadcaster, so we can rig whatever the hell we want.
Maybe, or maybe that's like, it's not a quiz show, it's a reality competition.
That's right. We're not a quiz show, really.
Right, or we're not a game show. We're a reality competition.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
that could be.
Yeah, but it was a very, very big deal. I mean, it was big enough that they made a movie out of it. I believe Quiz Show was actually an Oscar nominated.
Yeah, it was directed by Robert Redford, and let me see.
Yeah, in fact, the $64,000 question. Remember, they had to go into the booth. So, anyway.
Nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor. Best
it was a big movie. So I'm wondering
Hmm.
if that's a thing or if it's going to come out. I mean, or did they just forget like there's a lot of very serious like laws that people aren't aware of that people break all the time and then someone goes, "You did what?
Yeah.
Why did you think that was okay?" Like raffles. Like making people purchase like a proof of purchase to be entered into a contest.
That
Like
you
you
need
have to
that or
buy
don't?
something. That is illegal. That is
Oh.
gambling. That's a lottery. You have
Mm.
to it's not a
Mm.
giveaway. It's not a contest. It's a lottery. That's
Hmm.
why whenever you see things like any kind of giveaways like McDonald's or whatever, anything, there's always language in there that if you want you there's no proof of purchase required.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
you want a
yeah.
free token, all you have to do is write this address and they'll send you one. And that's to cover them to keep it from being a lottery and gambling.
Hmm.
And people do that all the time on Facebook. And guess what? The government is watching Facebook for people doing that. Like, hey, if you get the donate, if you become a Patreon, every person who's a Patreon and joins our Patreon for $5, one of those people will win XYZ amount of money or get something, some kind of inducement. That's gambling.
Huh.
It's a lottery. It's
Interesting.
illegal without, I mean, depending on what state you're in. So yeah, little things in the law that everybody knows, like payola. You can't do the payola thing. A lot of people don't recognize that payola was very much a thing, and a lot of people went to jail for it. But people do it now. Anyway, we're getting too deep into the weeds. Anything else before we close out the show, Nick? The answer is no.
Blood Reaper had a couple
Oh.
couple neat things about Elden Ring. Apparently finding illusory walls is way easier than anyone expected because regular walls have like a little platform at the bottom, like a little brick, it goes down, then
Mhm.
sticks out, goes down.
Mhm.
Illusory walls don't. And
I guess
it's
that would be called a pediment, maybe.
pediment, yeah.
Mhm.
But it's impressive that it took the Elden Ring community
This long to figure it out.
how many years for someone to realize that?
It hasn't been years, has it? It's been less than a year.
I think it came out in February.
So it's
might-
less than a
might-
year.
Yeah. Barely.
Just less
barely.
than a year. Barely less than a year. What was the release date on that? Go
I'll
chat
look-
room. What was
I'll
the
look that
release
up.
date of Elden Ring?
And then I had a funny story that Meta is testing members only worlds for VR. It's VR Horizon Worlds. and I
Nobody
just,
wants to use it anyway. Why would you be making it exclusive?
Yes.
We're going to put a velvet rope in front of the nightclub that nobody wants to go to, that there's nobody inside, but there's a velvet rope, and we're telling you, you can't come in here.
Made me think of like a kid in his treehouse going, I'm not by myself. It's
there you go.
exclusive."
Hey, thank you, AC Wraith. How Playola is infiltrating streaming services. Pay for play is definitely happening. It is also definitely illegal.
That's perfect. That's good. I got to read that.
Yep. Another case in point of like the people, the young folks forgetting. They're forgetting. Forget the history. And how people, lost their jobs and never worked again after screwing up like that. February 25th, 2022. Thank you very much, AC Wraith. All right. So anything else before we close out the show? The dog hasn't reacted to that yet. I'm waiting for her. The dog is smart enough to know what the closing script is that I say every time we close. She knows the name. So she's out cold. And as soon as I say the magic words, she's going to wake up. Sounds like a good PUA tactic.
POA?
PUA. What do you mean by PUA? So, she can probably no, she can't hear the music because the music's in my headset. Only here. Although she's a dog, she can hear things, but maybe I will test that out sometime. All right. So, that being said, you ready to close this out, Nick?
Yes,
All
I
right.
don't have anything else.
And now the magic words. Let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds. GameHounds episode, I think it's 668, and we did record this on Sunday, February 5th, 2023. I've been Edie Sellers, and with me is Nick Nicola. If you ever want to get a hold of us, gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. We record the show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, here on YouTube and on Twitch. We would love to have you join us if you're seeing us after the fact, or if you're hearing us after the fact. Please join us. And thank you to everyone being here. It was actually really nice to see some new faces here and to see some new names. Thank you so much. And I hope you come back next week. And also thank you to Chaos, to Chunderbox, to Bitters, to John Walker, to AC Wraith, of course, who provides, if we mention something, he puts the link in the chat. So if you've heard anything that you wanted to follow back up on, just scroll through the chat. You'll find the link. AC Wraith is a god that way. We are also Patreon funded, 100% Patreon funded. And thank you so much to our patrons. Were it not for you, we would not be here. We use our money very, very carefully. And that's why we only ask for $1 a month. $1 a month is all we ask to help cover the costs for streaming and the subscription and this and that and the other. That's all it is. So please feel free to join our Patreon. www.patreon.com/GameHounds. $1 a month is all we ask to keep our lights on and to keep this running. Also, don't forget, we have a Discord. Yeah, we're in there. Nick's in there all the time, especially for news, so he doesn't have to do any work. But I go there because I like to hang out with you. And now that I have my new job, I can actually go in there without having like the company block it because of like the whole company policy. There's no company policy on my new job, so I can actually be there and hang out with you guys. So please feel free to join us. Discord, there's the link. You can also find it on our Facebook page. Yeah, we do have a Facebook page. It is facebook.com/the GameHounds. We'd love to have you go there as well, but you know, we're not fans of Facebook very much. Hope you have a great week. Thank you to our patrons, Tor the Weege, Peter Camo, Eric Baker, Anonymous, Piss, Andy H. You do make this all possible. We will talk to you next week. Have a great one. Be safe out there. Remember, COVID is very much a thing. And yes, the dog just woke up. Have a great one, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So the dog, by the way, the podcast is out. Video still on. The dog absolutely woke up. She woke up and then she got back on the couch and she's rolling on the couch. No, I could see that she's gearing up and now Buddy's up. They know it. Can you hear him shaking in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah. They know that sound. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna go because I know I'm gonna have a whiny dog in 3, 2, 1. Oh no, she's still working on getting a good whine session up. Thanks for being here, everyone, and so happy that I'm now back with my old job where I can do things like, you know, hang out on Twitch and watch things on Twitch and be in Discord with you without having to, like, you know, go through these horrible machinations because everything game related. I had to actually to make the company whitelist my own podcast.
Really?
Their own website. I had to make them whitelist it because I couldn't. I'm like, this is my website. I need to be able to go there. And they're like, well, okay. It took them like 3 weeks for them to do it. So, Edie can sign into everything not related to work. I can sign into everything. I could sign into anything I want at the new one. In fact, if my work is done, I can sign into Valve and download a game onto my work computer.
Oh,
I know. It's like I'm being treated like a GD grown-up. It's wonderful. I am no longer a child. I mean, I left my old company. Don't get me wrong. They're a corporation. They have to do this because with 5,000 people and sensitive medical information, they have to have these controls on there. But, you know, we don't have that. And getting paid for it. Yes, exactly. Everyone, thank you so much. Please come back with the information about the PSVR. I am absolutely dying to see that. And of course, I love seeing all of you guys as well. Thank you for being understanding with me being a little bit weird this week just because of the whole work thing. But life is about to get much, much, much better for me, which leaves more time for you.
which is good.
Everybody wins,
Yes,
but mostly me.
hey, that's fine.
Have a good week, everyone. Please do be safe. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.